Hey you guys, Joni here. So I want to show you guys how I prep my surface, plan like how I plan my painting. So like if you're doing a color mix, you don't mess up and like have to redo a whole section later on. And then sealing and then even putting on my hardware because there was no hardware in this house. So I have been refinishing cabinetry for quite a while. When I was pregnant with my son, I updated their bathroom cabinets, my kids' bathroom cabinets. And they have held up great for over 5-6 years. And my kids have put them to the test. I've done my kitchen cabinets, I've done my laundry cabinets, and then I just finally refinished our bathroom cabinets. I've just slowly updated our house and I finally got to our master bathroom. Hopefully going to refinish some ugly, what is this? Backsplash and maybe countertops. I don't know, I'll see what that brings. But I've got some new lighting fixtures and stuff I want to put in here. Our bathrooms, our cabinetry, all of them were very standard grade stuff, and I'll show you the before. But yeah, I just want to show you guys. I get lots of questions about how I paint my cabinets. Like, do I need to sand? Do I need to prime? Do I need to strip the existing surface? And I answer no on those, especially when you're using Sloan chalk paint. The chalk paint, it is does not have a sealer in it. So I will go through that and I'll talk to you guys about that as I'm painting and refinishing. If you're not familiar with who I am, I'm Joni, and my mom, Penny, we refinish furniture, we do DIY, we update any kind of thing like furniture, cabinetry, decor. We love to decorate and design. And then we own a store with my in-laws here in Canton, Oklahoma. And it's called Lemons and Lace Marketplace. So we've been refinishing furniture for well over 15 years, since 2010. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary at our store. So yay for prosperity. But if you have any questions, comment below and I'll try to answer them as I can. And yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys think of the finished piece. Well, the semi-finished. I still got lots to do.
Okay, so here is, sorry y'all, you can see all my stuff down here, but this is real life, you know. You can see it's very, I would say, standard grade stuff. Ugly mirrors, ugly light fixture. Okay, so obviously the doors are already taken off. I have cleaned them all, and I'll talk to you about that in just a second. But before you take the doors off or any hardware off, this is what you need to do. You need to draw out, see, I have my vanity and then our linen cabinet. You need to draw it out. You need to number each door. And I always put an arrow up on the door so I know which is the top end of the door. So when I'm painting down here, if it kind of rubs off, I'm not too stressed about it because it won't be seen. And also, you don't want drips up here where you can see them every day because that'll drive you nuts. Anyways, I also labeled the hardware. So these little circles are like the hardware. So 1, 2, 3, 4 drawers. I also labeled them, and they are just labeled right on the inside like this of the drawer. So there is just an overview. We have a toilet cabinet also, and then my husband's side, which, looking at all that I have, my poor husband. But here is the color. Look at this. It's kind of got scraps on it, but look at this color. This is actually Knightsbridge green, which is a little bit, I would say, moodier green than what I'm wanting to do. This is the green I'm going to do. So you can see how it's a little bit darker than this one. My husband wanted Amsterdam green to begin with, but to me, it's just too bright of a green. It's showing up dark right now in the video, but I wanted a deeper, richer color just so these, look at that. Yes. So I'm going to do a little bit of a mix between this and some black hardware too. So we'll just see how it goes. But follow along. I'll show you guys how I do all this. If you have to remix, you want to be able to remix on like the last cabinet and all of it match. So you want to plan it out perfectly. So I will start with this big cabinet and work my way on my second coat. I will work my way over towards this cabinet and then probably do the toilet cabinet last. Just because, like, if you go to remix and like your doors and your drawers don't match the base or each other because you had to remix your color, then you're going to have obviously different colors and it's just not going to look right. So that's my tip on that. It's not fun having to figure out your remix ratio. So I always go in with a similar color. I did this on my kitchen cabinets or on my kitchen island. And I went with a base coat of like what the color tone is, Amsterdam green, and did a whole priming coat basically of it. And then I came back with the actual color mix and went over the cabinet. So anyways, enough of me talking. You guys ready? Okay, bye. Okay, guys, so when I do my prepping as far as cleaning, I always use a 50-50 mixture of water and vinegar. Just white distilled vinegar will work. It cleans all the grime off. It's supposed to get all any oils, fingerprints, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you get all that off. And this is how I mix my paint. I use a stir stick every now and then if that doesn't do it, but mainly I just mix my paint like that. I do go in, I follow the wood grain when I brush on the paint, and I grab just a little bit on the tips of the brush. I don't completely submerge my brush in the paint just because it can get very messy, and it can dry up in the top of the brush, and it can make extra texture on top of your finish. And I was just going to say too, on my cabinetry, I want a smooth finish, and to get that finish, you do follow the wood grain, and then I lightly blend it all together once I get the paint on. So you'll see me going back all the way across, blending those brush strokes together. So it's important to remember that this is the first coat, and really the first coat isn't about coverage, although it is pretty good coverage with this paint. It is more about the paint adhering to the surface. So you want to make sure the surface is clean, and that you're going in a light coverage. That means like you're not glopping on a thick layer of paint. It's more about letting it dry and adhere to the surface. So when you put your second coat on and then you wax and you seal, it is good and stuck on to that wood. So whenever I'm brushing in big spaces, I usually work in sections, and then I blend up as I do on the front panels of the cabinets. Also, I blend up so that everything is in one motion and it is smooth. So I really try to get my brush strokes in the same direction whenever I'm doing cabinetry, especially if you have a big surface. And I'll even go back and lightly sand large surfaces if I need to, if there's too much texture. I am also using the medium round paintbrush. It holds a lot of paint, so it's great for blending out and not having to re-dip your paintbrush every 2 or 3 brush strokes. So I really like it because it holds the paint. So on the drawers and the doors, I'll show you how to do it, how I do my paint to get a smooth finish. I go around the edges first, and I work pretty quickly. And then once I get all my edges done, before it's dried, I go to the center part of the drawer or the door, and I completely work in one direction with the wood grain and smooth out that finish. If I can think of my words, geez. So I'll show you here in just a few. I brush it on, and then I go in one direction to blend out all those brush strokes. Kind of like a light feathering is what I would call it. So here is the first coat, and I usually let them dry about at least an hour, depending on what I have going on, up to 24 hours, even more. It doesn't really matter. But you want to allot for lots of space when you're doing large cabinet projects. Lots of drawers and doors in this one, so it took up several rooms, our kitchen, our dining room. And I also put the doors and the drawers in select spaces. Like this is the linen cabinet doors, and then here is my husband's cabinet doors. Keep that in mind. Okay, trying to prop my phone up on whatever I can find till I can get it my tripod tomorrow. So I am going to mix, so I did my first coat of Amsterdam green. All of it just Amsterdam green, the base coat. Say it's a priming coat. And then my second and final coat, which usually it's only 2 coats, especially on dark colors, on dark surfaces, with her paint. But is going to be a mix of Amsterdam and graphite. These are chalk paint. They do not have sealers in them, so and they're water-based, so I can mix them. What I love about her paints is besides the blacks, there's no blacks mixed into like the colors. So whenever you go to mix paint colors together, say I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I just need something different for a project or a lighter color, you don't get hardly any mucky colors. So it's really easy for me to color match, and when I need to dye down a certain hue in a color, so like this green is pretty bright green, I want to dye that down with graphite, which has kind of a, I want to say a bluer, purpley even undertone in it because with the black. So anyways, that being said, I can go all on and on about color matching, and Annie has really done a great job on her paint products with her colors and how they coordinate together really well. I was going to tell you too, I used a medium bristle brush. This is dried. I washed my other one because it was getting kind of dirty, and obviously it had just the green in. Anyways, I have about a quarter gone in here, which I think is about the perfect amount because I think I want to do like a 1-to-4 ratio. The thing about mixing paint is if you have a big surface, like say kitchen cabinets, or you're doing the whole house a certain color, you really need to make sure you have enough when you mix, and I recommend using a scale. I think you can always weigh your grams, and not ounces, but your grams, to see how much paint you put in which one. Now, whenever you're doing colors and mixing, you want to make sure that the darker color is ever so lightly added into the lighter color, because it is very hard to take the dark color and make it lighter. It's going to take a whole lot of this. So say I had white and I'm trying to make a gray and my base was the white, I would just add a little bit of dark or to graphite in this can. So if I went to add white into the graphite, it would take a whole can of white to even make just a shade of difference, because this is so pigmented. So these are both dark colors. I won't have much of a problem with that, but just forewarning, you're not doing these colors, you're doing something else, and you have a lighter shade that you're mixing into, you always want to add a little bit of time, make sure you get your ratio correct. So anyways, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my paint can opener, and I'll show you. So with my husband's vanity and drawers and doors, I have 15 drawers and 10 doors. So 25 total of those. And then with my vanity and the linen cabinet, and then also above the toilet, we have a cabinet. It took, I'd say that's that could be a third gone, maybe. But I think it's just at least a quarter. I have quite a bit left. So I'm not surprised you can go a long ways with this type of paint. It goes a long ways. So I shake my cans up too, as needed. And like I said, I usually like to use a measuring scale if I'm doing more, but I know since I just used a third of a can, I'm gonna just need a third of a can to do the second coat, maybe. So in other words, I'm going to probably have a lot of paint left over. I'm gonna have at least half a can left over after this. So I'm gonna just mix into here. And I think I want to do about a, oops. Start with that. That's about 3/4 full. That's a pretty color, but I want it a little bit darker. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wait and see where that goes. And I'm going to clean up my mess. Okay, I think I got my color. I added a little bit more after I did this test swatch to see if it matched up. You can see it's just a little bit off, and this one's still wet, but it matches pretty good to this. So, let's go for the second coat now. It is a full can now of paint. So I added, I would say, at least a third a can of graphite into Amsterdam green. Okay, so here's another tip I didn't mention in this video. If you're going to do your second coat or even your third coat and it still feels pretty thick, you can add water into the paint, just a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot, and it will basically go on a little bit smoother, a little bit thinner, so there's not so much texture, brush strokes, and it's just easier to put on. So I probably should have done this. I didn't, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before I got all my paint on there, but I usually add water on my second coat, and it doesn't take much at all, like I said. But here is the color comparison between Amsterdam and the Amsterdam and graphite mix, which I really love. It's such a beautiful color. So I can't wait for you guys to see the finish, so stay tuned for the very end so you can see the finished product. So soon I'll show you guys why I should have added water into my paint. It didn't hurt the finish or anything. I just had to sand right here in between this coat and the final third coat, which I did a final third coat because there was some texture on the flat parts of the doors and on the flat part of the cabinets, like on the side of the cabinets where that big area space is on my vanity. So I will show you that too, but it doesn't hurt it. All you have to do is just use some fine grit sandpaper, sand it down just a little bit, just enough to get the texture off, and then I take a tack cloth and clean it off so there's no dust and debris as I'm painting, because that will build up too and just add more texture. So to avoid that step, I would add definitely some water into your paint, but like I said, it didn't hurt the finish. I still got a smooth finish on my doors, and it still looks great. So next up, after the paint is dried, which I did this in between the doors because I wanted the drawers back in our cabinet so we could use them and function and have our kitchen back. So that's the great thing about chalk paint, is that you don't have to go like in exact steps. When the paint's dry, it's ready to be sealed. And this wax is great because it is an oil-based sealer. You don't have to worry about, like with water-based, it drying too quickly, and then if you have to stop in the middle of it, like you have kids yelling at you, like I do half the time, stopping in the middle of your project and then it messing up your finish. This wax really is very durable. It goes on, just like I said, like hand lotion on your hands. The paint absorbs that wax, and then you just take a lint-free cloth and wipe it back off. And it gives us soft satin finish, and it is a smooth finish. So a lot of the times whenever I use my lacquer, or I use like a polyacrylic or a different kind of sealer that has a glossier finish, it shows all the flaws, which you can see brush strokes and everything else. So when I use wax, I just love my finish so much more. It's a little more work sometimes, I would say, but I don't think it's that much more work. I said that and I'm going back on my words. I think doing a water-based finish with a sealer like lacquer or polyacrylic, or has a glossy finish on it, shows everything, and you have to sand in between the coats of lacquer and polyacrylic and all that. So I like waxing. I know some people don't like it as much, but I think if you do it correctly, and you take care of your cabinets, you don't, spray water all over them or chemicals all over them, they hold up just fine. I've had, I don't know how many pieces of furniture for years on years, and my kids use the drawers, they use the doors. There's no chips, no big scratches, no paint flaking off, anything like that. So I don't have to worry about it if I wax like I do on polyacrylics. And you can spot treat. That's what I love too. So if you have a kid that takes a Sharpie to your cabinet, or even just like crayons to your cabinet door, you're not having to sand it down. All you have to do is take some fresh wax out of your can. If you can't get it off with water and a rag, take fresh wax out of your can, rub it on there, and it'll come right back off. And a little bit goes a long ways on sealing. So I just usually put it on the tips of my brush. I spread it all around, and then once I think I got it spread out enough down the sides and across the tops, I take that towel and I rotate my towel because it absorbs wax also, so you want to rotate it, and I just push it out into the areas I haven't quite got waxed. And I do the same steps as I had painted for the doors and the drawers. I do the outsides first, and then I work on the flat surfaces. So I'm going to spray the hinges because this is silver and it just does not look that good with the bronze gold or antique bronze handles that I have. I don't know where one's at, or I'd show you. I couldn't find like an antique brass at Lowe's and at Walmart. I checked both places. So I just grabbed, because in a time frame I'm needing something quick, I grabbed something that it's called Venetian bronze. I got this at Lowe's. And yeah, I think it'll look good. It'll be dark, so they won't stand out as much, which I don't really want the hinges to stand out very much. So it'll be dark on dark. And I don't know, can I figure this out? There we go. So I got my son, I just bought him this tub. And one thing about boys is they just break everything. They break everything or tear it apart. So this is broken, busted. I was about to throw it away, and I was like, instead of having to take all these hinges out and take them out to the barn to spray them,
I'm gonna just kind of set up a little spray station here where I don't have to worry about mist on my newly painted wall and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm gonna clean them with the vinegar and water solution just in case they have any grime on them. And I do have my canvas laid down on here too to protect my buffet that I have sitting here, which I painted some of the doors on here because I had a lot of doors and drawers. So I'm just gonna give that a quick clean. That looks pretty good. I still have the numbers on there. I'm just gonna spray them all as they are like this because this is what stands out on the outside. This won't be seen until you open up the door, which it's not gonna bug me. I can go back and paint them black if I want to, or I don't know. I didn't paint the inside of the doors, so it's not really bug me. Okay. My husband's probably not gonna like that. It's gonna have a potent smell. Oh, it's so pretty though. That's stinky. Okay, some quick removal of tape tips, because this can be a frustrating part and it can also pull your paint off if you're not careful. I always, when I am peeling tape, lift back on top of itself. If you don't and you pull directly up, it will either rip some of your paint or it'll rip the tape, and then you're having to get like tweezers and try to get tiny pieces of tape off the edges of your paints. So yeah, pull back on top of itself, pull back in sections if you have to, a little bit at a time, just so you don't tear your tape or find yourself lifting up too far. Okay, so here comes the fun part where you get to actually see everything put back together. Just a reminder, if you are spraying your hinges, you need to spray the screws also on the outside door, the outside hinge part. The inside doesn't matter. I sprayed it to begin with, and then I finally realized I didn't have to. So that made my job a little bit easier, but right here, these are the screws that need to be sprayed. And whenever I go to hang up my doors, you definitely want to use the same hinges because that's how they were put on. So that's how your doors are going to be level, and you don't have to mess with your doors not closing or looking correctly on your cabinet doors or your drawers lining up, being level. You know, you get what I'm saying, right? I hope. Also, if you're leaning your doors up against your cabinets when you're doing this, use a towel. I didn't at first, and then I realized I was like scratching my cabinet doors. Okay, so I want to show you guys, I'm sorry the lighting is out, but I want to show you a quick tip on how I put my door handles and pulls on. There was no pulls or handles or knobs or anything in any of our cabinets in the house. At first, in the kids' bathroom, I went by measuring and leveling each drawer and door, and that is very time consuming. So you can do it without like a template, but I ended up investing in a template, and I think it was like $12 off Amazon. Maybe not even that much, but it comes with drawer templates for different sizes, and you can see I black Sharpied where I used them a lot prior. And then it also comes with a door deal, which I like this one. The only limitation is I'm not 100% happy with this, because if I want my pulls going a little bit farther up or down on the door, you know, this limits you. But I'm not going to mess with it. Like, it's so time consuming that I'd rather just put it on there and use it. So you can also make your own template. I've done that before. Still kind of takes a little bit of time, but you will probably need a level, a tape measure, and of course a drill, and either a Phillips screwdriver or whatever your pulls, the hardware requires. So I highly recommend getting these. They're off of Amazon. Just search hardware template, door cabinet hardware template, or something like that, and I'm sure you'll find them. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I take the drawers out, and I've already done these down here, you can see. But I usually set them up on my cabinet, and I work, well, I've been working right here, or on my husband's cabinet. So our vanity lights, I don't know if they're just like old and not doing good or what, but they basically melted the bases of these light bulbs. And I don't know if it was them or if it's just like poor, shoddy light bulbs, because they are from Dollar General, but yeah, it just like melted. I mean, the light bulbs were still working, but we tried to screw them out and it just like came completely loose. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas on that, that's kind of weird. Need a pencil also. I like to grab a paper plate, so you can see the stuff in it, because when you screw through, it's going to drop on your floor, and it's also going to drop on the inside of your cabinet drawer or door, and this kind of just catches it. I tore kind of the edge and made it flat so it could go up against the drawer and catch all. So it doesn't catch everything all the time, but at least it keeps the mess contained. If I can move this down a little bit more. Okay, so I moved you to a little bit different angle just so you could see. Where's my tape measure? Okay, I'm gonna measure, find the center, so I gotta measure the whole width. It is 20, oh goodness, and an eighth-ish. So it is 10 and a notch. 10 and a notch. I'm gonna mark the center. I got the center marked. And I usually like to, so I don't forget that number in my head, I go through each drawer if they're the same width. But anyways, it has a little notch in here on this. You can see where the center mark is. I'm going to find that mark again. I line it up center. And then it's usually pretty good about finding the center of the drawer on the template. So this is the center. And this is 5 inches right here. If I have a drawer pull. These drawers, these pulls come with 2 different screws. These are adjustable screws, which I really love. So when you're buying your pulls and stuff, like our drawers are deeper because they have another lip back here. So the longer screws are better, and then the longer screws are too long on the doors. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're buying hardware. But this is the 5-inch, and I already marked it, but I'll show you guys. It lines up with the circles. So I have my drill bit to the proper size. You want to make sure you have the drill bit that's right for the screw. No, don't pull it. Lane, get back, honey. Daddy. Get back, honey. I love you. That's not Dad. So I had to mute the video because my daughter was arguing with me about watching a movie, and I can't have the movie playing in the background. But of course my battery dies right here and I have to switch it out. I mean, it wouldn't be a project without my battery dying. So next I'll use like a lint-free towel, and I'll just kind of wipe the dust off, clean up the area, vacuum if you need to. And then I just attach. Just be careful if you are using a drill to attach the hardware. You don't want to like have too much torque on it and you strip the screws out in your hardware. So on the doors, be sure to test with the handle or the pull where you want it. I wish I could have went up just a little bit farther, but with this template, like I said, it kind of limited me how far up I could go. So that is one thing I would love if I could find a template that doesn't have that lip. But once I figure out where I want the placement, I go to each door that I have in that section. So the linen cabinet, I do all the doors with the template, mark it, and then I go through with the drill on all the doors and drill it, and then attach. So coming up here is the before. Let me know what you guys think. There's seriously a huge transformation. Every time I take a bath or I take a shower or I walk into my bathroom to get ready, I feel joy. And that is the main goal of updating your home. You live in your home, you want to feel joy in your home, and that joy reflects back on others. It reflects on yourself whenever you are getting ready for the day or you are spending time with your family. So whether it's in your kitchen, if you cook more because you enjoy your kitchen more, then why not update it? So yeah, I just hope this inspires you guys and doesn't scare you. It's not hard to paint these cabinets. It really isn't. You just have to put the foot forward and do it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it inspiring to update your home, paint your cabinets, furniture, decorate, whatever it may be. I hope it inspired you to find renewed joy in your home. That is my goal in these videos. So let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you can. We appreciate it. But most of all, may God bless you like He has blessed me.